Welcome to the Feeding Our Young podcast. Have you ever heard the phrase, nurses eat their young? Feeding Our Young is more than a podcast. It's a movement. It's a desire to see new nurses of all ages be supported and uplifted by their peers. And it starts with me. It starts with you. So join host Eric Miller, registered nurse of nearly 20 years, an adjunct clinical instructor, and today's honored guest, me, Eliana Lefkowitz, and be ready to have your life uplifted so you can, in turn, uplift others. Welcome to the Feeding Our Young podcast.
Hello and welcome to this illness-filled episode of the Feeding Our Young podcast. Just kidding. We're not really sick, but both of us are kind of coming off the end of whatever's going around this season. And so if you hear a little congestion or maybe some sniffles here and there, don't worry, we've got everything we need. We've got our Kleenex, we're ready to go, and we're going to have fun regardless, right? But I'm going to stop talking. I cannot wait to introduce this wonderful, wonderful woman in studio. She is, we'll just let the cat out of the bag. She's a former student of mine. And on that note, she is currently in nursing school. And on that note, I have to share a little something that, it's the holiday season, just wrapped up. We're in Christmas week right here. And as I do with most people, I'm like, Merry Christmas to you and your family and so on and so forth. And she wrote back and she says, well, Merry Christmas to you too, but we just finished celebrating Hanukkah. And I was like, oh my gosh, the very thing I preach against, where you just are like I literally was like, I'm so sorry for being so myopic, but it was like this narrow perspective. And I went, oh my gosh, what in the world? So anyway, it still happens to the best of us. And without further ado, the one, the only Miss Eliana. Eliana, how are you this fine morning?
I'm good, Eric. How are you?
I am doing awesome, especially because I get to sit here and chat with you about nursing and that you're willing to take time to do that. Thank you so very much.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, enough. People have heard my voice enough, so it's your turn in your congested manner. Introduce yourself, give us your name, and where's home for you?
I am Eliana Lefkowitz, and home for me is in Portland, Oregon.
Nice. And are you home currently?
I am currently home,
Yay.
Enjoying my time here.
Is it just beautifully snowy over there? What's going on?
It is downpouring. There are flood watches everywhere. I haven't had a dry day since I've been home.
Oh, I can attest to this fact because my wife and we were able to get away. We flew, we like to go to Seaside. We went to Seaside for the first time in 2 years and flew into Portland, drove in and out of Portland with our rental car. And it was just wet, wet, wet and wind. And we loved it.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Well, I've kind of let the cat out of the bag, but where are you attending? When do you plan on getting your degree?
I go to the wonderful, awesome Gonzaga University. I will graduate next December 2026. So about a year from now, and I am ready and excited.
So 1 year out of 4 years of education, what does that feel like to be able to say that right now?
Honestly, it's kind of crazy. I feel like it's gone by really fast. I was just thinking the other day, like, I'm kind of sad to be leaving, but I'm also excited to see where my future takes me and ready to be done with all the studying that there is in nursing school.
Studying? What is that? I don't tests. I don't understand. All right. Well, before we go down that road, because we have a lot to talk about as far as that goes, what are the 3 words you chose to describe nursing school?
The words I chose was dedication, unpredictable, and opportunity.
Ooh, I like that last one in particular. And then what are 3 of your favorite songs in life right now?
Okay, I have a lot of favorite songs, so I tried to narrow it down to the ones that I've been listening on repeat.
Okay.
So I have The Girls by Megan Maroney, Everywhere, Everything by Noah Kahan. I love Noah Kahan. He's one of my favorites. And then I've Seen It by Olivia Dean.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear those. I've heard Noah Khan only because Noah Khan's name comes up repeatedly on this podcast, and I love it. Like I feel like he's got
He's
some anthem type
awesome.
songs. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to know more about you, Eliana. First of all, tell us whatever you want to share with us about your lovely family that's there in Portland and or maybe elsewhere.
Yeah, so I have my mom, Shira, my dad, Marty. I have a little brother. He is about to turn 18. His name is Kobe. Um, he will be attending Oregon State next year, so that's very exciting.
Go Beavers.
And go Beavers. And I have a half sister, Park. She lives in Missouri, and basically all the rest of my family, grandma, aunts, uncles, cousins, they all live in Missouri because both my parents are actually from there. So I was just visiting
Oh.
over the break, and that was super excited, super great to see all of them.
That is so cool. And not really that close to Oregon or Portland for that matter.
No, I forgot to mention that I have a lovely little 6-year-old dog. Her name is Lola. She is a rescue from Mexico. She's a COVID pandemic doggy, and I love her so, so much. And I always get so
Oh.
excited to come home and see her.
Oh, what kind of breed is she?
We have no idea. She is probably multiple types. She has really big ears, but she's like furless on her belly, and maybe she's really fast too. So maybe some type of like shepherd mix. But we haven't done one of those DNA tests, so we're really not sure.
Oh, Lola the mystery dog. That's awesome. So, before getting to nursing school, I imagine you've done some work for yourself. What have you done in your past, my friend?
I have done a few different jobs throughout high school. I worked at, if you know, Kona Ice, the ice cream or shaved ice
Mm-hmm.
place. I worked
Mm-hmm.
there for a summer. That was fun. I've done babysitting all my life. Not all my life, since I was 12-ish. But for the past few summers and like throughout the school year when I had been home, that's my main thing that I do is nannying, and I love my little kids. I've
Oh.
babysat several different families, and I also was a camp counselor at a gymnastics place that I used to do gymnastics at that place. So it's kind of cool to go back and be a counselor there. But really, all these things that I do, they involve kids because I love kids and I love hanging out with them.
Oh, that is so cool. And I don't we'll talk about whether or not that informs your future as a nurse or not, but we'll cross that bridge in a bit. You talk about gymnastics though, which tells me you like to move, and I have a hunch that that played into one of your other I don't even want to I feel like it's a disservice to call it a hobby, but what else are you passionate about outside of nursing school, Eliana?
I am a dancer. I have been dancing since maybe I was 8. I did a little when I was younger and then switched to gymnastics, and then I played soccer. I was horrible at soccer. I would I'd get out on the field. I had these bright yellow shorts and blue sparkly shoes and my pink shin guards, and I was
Yes.
just horrible. Horrible. So then I found my love for dance. I danced at a studio until I was in 8th grade, and then I tried out for my high school dance team, and I made the team, and that was a big dream of mine because I grew up watching this dance team. My dad was is a teacher, and he works for the school that I went to high school at. And so it was just really cool to be on that team. And I was on the team for 4 years. And I was a captain my senior year. And
Nice.
I don't mean to brag, but I think we were pretty good. We won a state championship my senior year.
Let's
So that
go.
that was pretty awesome. And then coming into college, I did not want to give up dancing. And one of I would say there's a few reasons I chose Gonzaga, but one of the reasons was for their awesome hip hop team, the Bomb Squad. Don't know where that name came from, but we are the Bomb Squad, and I have been on the team for the past 4 years, and this is my last year, and I am very sad to be leaving the thing that I love.
Yeah.
But it has been awesome, and we dance for the Zags, we dance for men's and women's basketball. we traveled to Vegas for the WCC tournament, and it's just been a blast. And my teammates are so awesome. And yeah, it's been the best 4 years.
Oh man. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I will attest, they are absolutely fantastic. The missus and I caught a game here recently, and I was like, I'm texting Eliana, I'm like, you guys are so good. Like it's so crazy. It almost sparks a little bit of envy in me because I do not have a single dancing bone in my body. So kudos to you for being able to
Thank you.
move like that. Well, with that then, let's kind of dabble into some nursing discussion here. And this kind of segues into it, but I loved your answers to these questions. So, a two-part question. The first one is, who inspires you most in your regular non-nursing life?
My parents are one of the biggest inspirations to me. They're both teachers, and they are both undeniably so supportive of me in everything I do, dance school, grades, pretty much anything. Um, and they really teach me to advocate for myself and always try my best. And even if I don't do something perfectly, as long as I tried my best, that's really all they care about.
Hmm.
They teach me to stand up for what is right and just help me enjoy the little things in life. And they've really been there for me, I mean, all throughout my life, but especially in college, I feel like it's hard when, you live far away from your family, but I still feel that support, and I talk to them all the time, and they always have little encouraging things to say to me, and they always text me before a test or ask me how I'm doing, and I really feel the support from miles away.
Oh, that is incredible. And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that can identify with that, and a lot of people who are like, oh man, I wish I had your family. So that's incredible. And it sounds like it's something you definitely don't take for granted, correct?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I mean, obviously, they're going to be a source of inspiration for you along your nursing school journey. But there was someone else you wanted to give a shout out to. Who inspires you most in the nursing field?
Yes. I'm gonna give a shout out to one of my really good friends, Claire Davidson. She's a 2025 GU grad, and I actually met her through Bomb Squad freshman year. She's a sophomore, and I just like knew instantly when I met her and found out that she was a nursing major that
Hmm.
she was definitely gonna be an inspiration to me, and she is one of the biggest support systems to me in college. Her and my awesome roommates, who three of them are also nursing majors as well, and we kind of just go through this experience together. But Claire she always cheers me on. She lives in Colorado, so she's very far away right now, and it's hard to, not go through college this year with her. But I still feel
Yeah.
her support, and when I didn't do good on a test, or even when she didn't do good, she was the first person to call me. We went and got ice cream one night because I couldn't stop crying after an exam grade. And
Oh.
she's awesome. She's there to support me through the good and the bad. She is always one of the first people I call, after a test, to be like, I got this score, or I finished, I passed my skills exam, or oh my gosh, guess what happened in clinical today? And she really encourages me never to give up. And I'm just so grateful to have somebody like that. And um, just, yeah, to feel that love. And I feel that love from my roommates too. We're all there for each other. And
Hmm.
they are 8 semester nursing majors. So they will be graduating a semester before me. And
Oh,
it's going to be
rude.
really I know it's gonna be really hard not to have them as that, but I know that they'll still be my support system even when they're not at school with me.
And it's really, you're emphasizing that key aspect of having someone, whether it's family, friend, roommate, whatever, that you can experience the highs and lows with, and they understand you, right?
Yes, for sure.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So then, I mean, golly, Eliana, until you said something about crying after a test grade, which obviously all of us have been there. But until you said that, it sounded like everything was just nice and smooth and hunky dory. So I'm kind of surprised. Did you face any challenges in nursing school so far?
I have faced many a challenges, many.
Talk to us about them, shall you?
So I would say, so I in high school I was a perfectionist, and
Uh-oh.
I yes, I got straight A's all throughout high school. I ended up being one of the valedictorians for high school,
Kudos.
and I thank you. And I knew that coming into college, I knew it was going to be different. I did not expect it to go a little bit downhill so quickly. I think it it was my second semester freshman year. I took chemistry, which was one of the required classes, and I really struggled. And it was just a concept that, it was really hard to me. And it was hard to me in high school, but I ended up getting an A in high school. And,
Nice.
I was in office hours, I was in tutoring, and I just could not get good exam grades. And I was really feeling defeated because I was coming from high school being straight A student, and then I got my first C or even a D on my test, and my grade plummeted in the class. And I was like, what is happening? This is not who I am.
Yeah.
And so it was a big learning curve, and I ended up having to, I think I maybe didn't pass chemistry by a few points, which really angered me. But, I retook it the next semester, and I ended up doing much better in the class. And so I was like, okay, I'm on my way. And then I got to the big kicker, anatomy.
Before you keep going with that, like you mentioned chemistry, and I promise you, half the audience butt puckered because they're like, "Oh, chemistry," and then now you're going right into like from out of the frying pan into the fire, right? Like so, I do appreciate you opening up that way though, because chemistry, like legit, even for me. It sounds very similar as far as like straight A student, that sort of thing. I had no problem with that business. Got a bit of senioritis in high school, and so like a couple of those grades reflected that. And then I went into what I was thinking was going to be pre-med and jumping in, and chemistry was one of the classes at my local community college. And I never forget, like I ended up pulling like I think a C, or no, I think the very first time I tried to take it, I had to withdraw because I was focusing on other things outside of school, potential love interests, etc. That it was like I just was not dialed in. And so you talking about this is literally transporting me back in time. So thanks for being transparent about that. Now, in the fire of A and P.
Yeah. So I knew that anatomy was going to be hard. Everybody said, "Oh, this is the class. This is the weed out class," and I was determined, and I ended up I got a C the first semester, and I knew that I was like, okay, I passed barely, but that was, I mean, I besides chemistry, I'm like, what is happening to my grades? I was doing well in all my other classes, but it's just these few hard classes that I was like, I have never gotten these grades in my life. Like, I thought I was gonna get, maybe like a B. I would be fine with that. Not a C, not a C minus. So that was, really made me like question nursing a little bit, and like, am I cut out for this? But I went to the second semester, and this is the semester that I ended up not passing. I got a C minus.
So let me ask you this, Eliana. Then you talk about like getting these grades, these C's, these deep, potential D's that you're not used to seeing, and like you said, you're straight A's. Like, do you feel like that was like, did you have kind of almost a crisis of identity in that moment?
I would say yes. I definitely questioned if I should continue nursing that year, but I have wanted to do nursing for forever, and I knew that like I just needed to push through, and that was hard, but I was really like at the time like, what do I do? I was really struggling trying to figure out what to do in that year.
And I mean, it would be nice if it was just a simple matter of I just got to try harder. But rumor had it you kind of discovered something along the way that maybe shed some more light as to why you were having these difficulties. Correct?
Yes. So I I think that I've always had a little bit of anxiety, but I was officially diagnosed with anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder, sophomore year. I also had severe testing anxiety. And I think that it was, honestly making me like a tiny bit depressed because I was getting all these bad grades. And I, what was happening was I felt like I didn't have enough time to really think through my answers on these tests because
Hmm.
I would understand a lot of the content and then I'd get to the test and I feel like I'd run out of time, or I was like, I'm having trouble deciphering these select all that apply or multiple choice answers. And so I also was diagnosed with severe testing anxiety. And
Oh,
what they don't what they don't tell you is how hard it actually is to get an accommodation at school and how long it takes.
wow.
So, yeah, it took me I think I found out closer to the end of first semester sophomore year that I had this anxiety like so badly, and I was able to get on some medication and I was seeing a therapist at the time. um and I was trying to work with him to see if I could get an accommodation, and he really just didn't think that I needed an accommodation. So I had to go through multiple different people to try and help me, and it took honestly a few months to get an accommodation, which I don't some people don't know that, but it really took a
Wow.
while. And so I partially give my not passing anatomy to all this that was going on, because when I retook it, I did much better.
Yeah, and fairly so, it sounds like. I, and I mean, let me ask you this, and it sounds like a very obvious question, but was that effort of getting those accommodations worth it?
Completely. They have been so helpful to me. I've had them since sophomore year, and I think that it's really helped me in nursing.
So listeners, be like, if you're like, man, I just need to push harder. I just need to try harder. I just need to, there might be something that needs to be addressed that is greater than just a simple matter of putting in more effort. And so, Eliana, I'm sure, I thank you for being transparent in that regards. And also, like, you've got in a year, you're talking NCLEX, right? So I imagine that you are going to be pushing for those similar accommodations for when you sit for that exam. Is that correct?
Yes, and I actually listened to somebody else that was on your podcast, and they were saying how hard it was to get an accommodation for the NCLEX, and that she really pushed for what she needed, and so now I have that in mind, and I know how I can get those for the NCLEX.
Yes, and you do it, and it definitely can make the difference. And I don't know, are you referring to Asia?
Yes.
Yes, Asia Ramos. Everybody go back and listen to her episode as well because she was very transparent about coming on and saying, I did not pass the NCLEX the first time. And then she said, but I also didn't think because of how hard it was to get the accommodations for school, she thought it would be similarly difficult for the NCLEX. And she says it actually turned out to be much easier, but totally worth whatever effort it took because it was literally the difference between her failing and passing the NCLEX. She passed on the second time. Hate to give away the end of the story, but I mean, but it's a real thing, right, Eliana?
Yes, for sure. And I think it's something that, a lot of people maybe don't know. And if I can be that help to somebody who is fighting for those accommodations or trying to get that, then I'm glad that I can do that for everybody.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, someone's going to listen to you going, "Oh my gosh, that sounds like me. Like my grades have changed, and I don't know why, and they shouldn't because I'm an adult." And da da da. Guess what? Things happen. Brain chemistry changes, and all the things. And sometimes there are some later diagnoses in life that can change how you have to approach life. And so, thank you so much for sharing that. I also would love. I don't want to skip out of this challenges section here without discussing what you brought to the table as far as how else have you navigated those challenges that you faced in life?
I have tried many different things to try and, calm my nerves. I realized that I needed to get on some type of medication to help with that anxiety. But beyond that, I do have some things that, kind of regulate me. I love working out. I mean, I do dance a lot, but so that
Hmm.
is one of my de-stressors. But also just working out in general. I love going for walks. My roommates and I will take walks every so often, and it's really nice to just get outside and, take a break from everything. I'm also gotten into journaling, which has, I think, really helped. Just writing
Mm.
everything down. That's something that my therapist taught me. And honestly, like, I sometimes I won't even journal about like school or nursing. I just write things down, and it's really helpful to just see it like on paper and get all my thoughts out. So I'll often do that before I go to bed, just so I have like a clean slate before I go to sleep for the night. And I found
Yeah.
that to be really helpful. And yeah, and listening to music too is always good for the soul. And I listen to lots of music, so that has been a big help too.
Now let me ask you, when you say writing things down, are you referring to taking notes on an iPhone or literally pen to paper, pencil to paper?
I literally I think I have three journals at school, and they all have like different things in it. One of my roommates got me this like gratitude journal. And so I sometimes, if I'm like, okay, I need to write down what I'm thankful for, like I'm just feeling that way, I'll write in that one. Or I have
Mm.
another journal. I think my roommate freshman year, her mom gifted it to me, and I didn't pick it up until last year. And I was like, oh, I forgot about this. And so now I just, write things about my life down, literally pen to paper. And
Yeah.
this, talking about this also just made me think that I have a ritual that I do before every test. It kind of goes along with journaling. I've been
Mm.
doing this since I got into upper division nursing. Before every single test, I will sit down. I take my test in the library. So I will sit down, I write out everything I'm feeling on my phone, and it's really just helped me. I write down that I've studied, that I'm smart, that the powers beyond will help me get through this, and I have succeeded. I've gotten this far. So I just write down everything that I'm feeling. And I also shout out to my pink sweatshirt. I wear the same sweatshirt for every single test since sophomore year, I think.
Let's
And
go.
I love that sweatshirt. It has been put to great use. It's pink. It's awesome. I think that other people in our class have honestly started wearing pink because of me. My friends have told me that. So, um,
That is
but
so cool.
but yeah, yeah. I mean, just writing things down and seeing it on something that's not in your brain, I think, has just really helped me throughout my whole journey.
Wow. Okay, so on a shallow note and then a deeper note. Let's flip that. Deeper note and then the shallow note. So, like, I just love that even whether it's pen to paper or you're talking like on your phone before a test, like, I'm so glad you said what you said because what I was going to say is like you were reading my mind is like when you journal and or do that exercise prior to a test, I feel it serves two purposes. One, writing stuff down helps organize, right? Obviously, a lot of people lists and things of that nature is what I got to do today, check marks, crossing off, whatever, but also like writing down your thoughts, like you said, seeing them on paper. So it's not only organizing, but it's also, for lack of a better term, emptying, right? You get this internal, like whatever, and you're able to kind of maybe, there's just this transference that occurs out of your hands and into the phone app or into onto paper that kind of allows you to free some part of yourself so you can focus on whatever it is you're trying to focus on. Would that sound accurate?
Yes, and I am a very like detail oriented type A to the max person, and I think like having that organization and just like emptying it out into my brain or from my brain, it just really it helps to, have all my thoughts in one place that isn't in my brain.
That is so, so cool. And that is the deeper end of it. The shallow response to that also was like, I don't like, you've already sent me your episode tile photo. And I'm like, now we need a new one with you in your pink sweatshirt. Like, that should be your episode tile. So I'll leave that up to you. You guys, if you see her episode tile and it looks like it's got a pink sweatshirt in it, then she did it. And if not, that's fine too, because her pictures are amazing. So, um, with that, then, I mean, it's, we kind of touched on the challenges there. I can think of one other challenge that sounds less intimidating for that, for lack of a better term. But how did you, I think that's something you wanted to talk about, and how you balance your extracurricular activities with the demands and rigor of nursing school.
Yeah, so I mean, the biggest extracurricular I have is Bomb Squad, the dance team. That is basically the only other thing that I have going on outside of nursing. It is, I would say it's a big time commitment.
I was going to say, it's very
We
demanding on your time, I would imagine.
Yes, we practice 2 times a week. The practices are 8:30 to 11 p.m. So they are very late at night.
Yeah, and like, I mean, you're talking a chunk of what could be study time, right?
Yes. So I have kind of developed a routine that really helps me, to balance these two. And there are times that it gets hard, definitely, for sure. I would say my freshman and sophomore year, it was a little bit easier because I didn't have, clinicals and lab that I needed to go to and skills testing and all this other things that come with upper division. But I think that last year was really like, I was like, okay, I really need to have a plan. I really need to balance my time, which I think that I've always been pretty good at time management. But, college is a different scenario. It's different than high school. And I did dance team in high school, and that took up a lot of my time, but I didn't have as much other things going on. And
Right.
so, um, I had a few nursing majors on the team before me, my friend Claire, and then a few other nursing majors. And I really kind of took them as inspiration and like asked them, like, how are you doing this? Like, how are you balancing? And they're like, well, you just really got to manage your time well, and you got to like have everything in place. And I was like, okay. And so now I pride myself on like, I will not study the morning of a test. And there are times that I have practice before a test.
Oh,
And it's hard sometimes because I'll be there like thinking about, well, I could be using this time to study, but I don't study great late at night. And so I'm like, okay, 8:30, that is my cutoff. That's when I'm going to practice. I'm not thinking as much as I want to be thinking about school and my test that I have tomorrow morning. I'm focusing on dance. I'm focusing on my
yeah.
teammates. I'm in this space. And I've had times this past year, I think that clinical as it's gotten a little bit harder, I've had times where I'm still kind of thinking about what happened at clinical if I had a rough day. It's really hard sometimes to leave it at the door when I have teammates that they do not know what I went through that day. If
Yeah.
I even give a little bit of information, like they still don't really know the extent to what happened. And it's hard to not have people like on the team that really like get that, but also I'm like, I am in this other space. This is not school nursing space. I need to put it to the side. And that's been something that I think I've had to learn this past year. And there's been days that I like came into practice crying because of something that happened, or
Mm.
I'm so tired from my 12, 13 hour shift, and then I go straight to practice. It's rough sometimes, but I I just really like I manage my time well, and I use active studying during to study for my tests, and so I'm not cramming at the last minute. And
Yeah.
I just leave like I'm like, okay, what's done is done. I've done what I can, and I have this time. I'm going to focus on dance. And we also have games throughout the week. And I will use those as my break. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes do even end up bringing my iPad or my computer to study. And it is what it is. Sometimes I have to ignore my teammates for a little bit. But when I am dancing, that is my break. That's my
Yeah.
de-stressor. It's what I love to do. Um, I don't think my college experience would be the same if I didn't have Bomb Squad. I've met so many awesome people through that, and it's been really awesome to continue to dance. And hip hop is my favorite style, and so I'm doing the thing that I love most. And you really need to have something that you love um away from nursing. Like, it cannot consume your whole
Yes.
life. And that I've learned it the hard way. I tried to have it consume my life. I was like, I need to get this grade. I need to study 24/7. And I do study a lot for sure. Don't get me wrong. But that's my time. That's me time away from everything else.
And I am so glad that you emphasize that because I can't tell you how many students I meet, whether it's via the podcast or through teaching or whatever the case may be, that are, we've had nursing students on cheer. We've had, now bomb squad nursing student. We've had nursing students who are working, nursing students whose roommates are like, you need to get out. You need to get out and watch a movie. We need to go do something and get your mind off of nursing school. And time again, every single student that does that says it helps them. In your mind, you get caught up in, I've got to study, I got to do this, I got to do that, and you're right. If you do that 24/7, you're going to crash and burn. Maybe you'll pass. I can't say you won't, but you will not have as enjoyable of an experience, let alone having those releases where you can go, okay, I love that you just say, I set it at the door. I'm leaving nursing school over here and I'm going to do what makes me happy for a minute. And obviously within reason, right? You're not going to go so far the other way that you're ignoring your responsibilities, but you are doing the thing that is that stress release for you. Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. So, Eliana, before we close in our traditional manner, I'm doing things in backwards order. And I really I love, like, why nursing? Why did you end up in the nursing profession?
So I would say that I have wanted to do something in the medical field from a very young age. I would say something that really pushed me to do nursing was I had this class in high school, and it was called the health sciences class, and it was at a professional technical center that was like part of our school district. It was a really awesome experience. But from freshman year in high school, I started with intro to health science, and then I moved on to health science 1, and then health science 2. And keep in mind, my junior year was half of sophomore year and all of junior year was COVID year. And then senior year, we were back to school, but things looked a little bit different. Um, I applied to be part of the internship program my senior year through this professional technical center. And it was just an awesome experience. I got in. Um, we didn't get to do a ton of rotations because we were working with the hospitals during COVID and
Yeah.
all that. And I didn't get placed in the rotation that I wanted. I was placed in radiology, but I was also placed in a pediatric facility. And just doing like patient care just really made me want to do nursing, I think. That's like the biggest reason why I love nursing is that patient care aspect and really like developing a relationship with your patients. I never really wanted to be a doctor because I didn't like that they don't really spend that much time with their patients.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's a big reason why I chose nursing. And I think my why is that I want to be with people on their most vulnerable days. I want to be by their side for whatever they need and helping to like be part of a healing process. It really brings me joy and gratitude and just being there for somebody. I mean, I was there for seeing a life be born in OB, and that was just amazing. And also going to med surge and then being with people who are older and, are on comfort care. It's really just, it's hard either way, but being there with people It really makes me happy. And I've been told that I have a really big heart. And sometimes I get asked, like, you're so smiley. Like, why do you smile all the time? And I really, like, if I can be a smile to somebody who maybe isn't having their best day or is, on having one of their worst days, just knowing that I can bring a little bit of joy to them is like really something special to me. And that is basically my why of nursing.
That is the most awesome answer ever. Like I love, and I'll attest to the big heart, big smile, because every time she'd come to clinical, you were there, smiling, ready to go. I'm like, I know you have a real life, and I know things happen in that real life, but from a perspective of a clinical instructor, we never would have known. You know what I mean? Like you were there, ready to give your all to your patients, and that is just going to make you one of the most incredible nurses ever.
Thank you so much. That's really,
You're
really special to me.
No, it's very welcome. It's very evident. And so, with that big heart and big smile, where are you going to take that in the future? It sounds like you've touched on peds, a little bit of OB, you've talked med surg. Do you have an idea where you're headed?
So you're going to love me for this. I have a very strong interest in postpartum. I really, going into my OB clinical, I was like, labor and delivery, like that is what I want to do. I fell in love with postpartum. I really loved it. And I think that is what I want to do in the future.
Yes, biasly speaking, it's one of the best fields out there, just saying. All right. Enough talking up our own field here that we love. But Eliana, you chose 3 words to describe nursing school. What were they and why did you choose them?
I picked dedication, unpredictable, and opportunity. I think we'll start with dedication. I picked that because nursing school is challenging. It is probably one of the hardest things I've done in my life so far, but you have to be dedicated. You have to be dedicated to your work, your own success in order to make it through. And if you can't slack off. If you don't, you can have a life in nursing school. It is possible, but if you fall behind, you need to have that priority, that nursing school, like you are here to get your degree. And also it's expensive. Like I'm dedicated because it's something I want to do, and it's also, I am paying for my education, and I want to be dedicated to that and put in all my effort that to succeed. So that's why I chose dedication. I also chose unpredictable. The whole field is very unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen, especially I would say in clinical. I've had extremely hard days where my patients are not doing well. But I've also had extremely rewarding days, just like, I saw 3 births in OB clinical, and that was just such a rewarding experience to see. And, sometimes events don't go as planned. We'll be like in clinical conference and we'll hear code blue over the speaker, and it ended up, there was a time that it ended up being one of my classmates' patients, and they
Oh.
ended up passing away. So, there's very unpredictable events. Tests are very unpredictable. You can study extremely hard, and the test can just kick your butt. That's happened to me so many times. But on the flip side, you can also put in all that work and do extremely well. And that has also happened to me. So nursing school, it's very unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
And the last word I chose was opportunity. There is so many opportunities in nursing. There's so many connections you make like this. I
Mm-hmm.
never would have done this if you weren't my clinical instructor. So there's an
Let me
opportunity.
let me I'm pausing you right there because what did you tell me before we started recording? I just love it. It was specifically about what your mom and dad said to you.
Yeah, I'm typically a very shy person. I think college in general has brought me out of my shell, but I decided to do this podcast because you were talking it up and I listened to some episodes, and I came back home and I told my parents, like, hey, my clinical instructor, he has podcasts, and I think I'm gonna be on the podcast. And they were so surprised because this is very out of my comfort zone.
Oh.
I actually never in a million years thought I'd be doing this because I hate public speaking, but I really felt like I had a good story to share, and I wanted to inspire other nursing students, and so that's why I decided to do it.
And I guarantee you that courage is going to pay dividends to someone else who's listening. So anyway, enough with the interruption. You continue with on this topic of opportunities. Sorry.
Yeah, so there's lots of new experiences, clinical, outside of clinical. There's opportunities to get to meet people for jobs. I have a roommate who does nurse tech. She got that opportunity through nursing school. I have met so many new friends. I actually have met a few people that are from the Portland area that I didn't even know lived here before coming to college. I have a friend. He's also was in your clinical group, Santi. He lives
Mm-hmm.
in Salem, and we carpool home all the time. And I didn't know him before then, but there have been several times that we carpooled home. So that's just fun to get to meet new people. I have a
Yeah.
friend from high school that's in nursing with me, so that's cool. I met all my wonderful roommates, and there's so many different opportunities that nursing school brings.
Oh, I just love that. And yes, shout out to Santi. Santi's a good guy. If you have him as your nurse, y'all, you're going to be in good hands. But I say that pretty much of all my students anyway, because golly, you guys are all just, you're cream of the crop, man. And whether or not you start out that way, you end up that way. And I just love it. Every cohort is just incredible. But with that, you have one last thing. If somebody walks away, you want one thing for them to carry with them for the rest of their lives after listening to your episode, what would that be?
I would say my biggest piece of advice would be that it's okay to have a different journey than your classmates. My journey, I'm sure, is way different than a lot of people in my class, and that's okay. I have hit many bumps and detours along the way, but that doesn't make me any less of a nurse. These setbacks are probably going to help me in my future. And I mean, they're people have so many different struggles that they go through, and I shared mine. But a quote that my friend told me, I think this was sophomore year, she told me, it was that I might have learned something the second time around that could save my patient's life one day. And I always take that into mind.
Oh.
It's always stuck with me because I think that it's just so important to know that like even if you had to do something multiple times, you're still going to be a good nurse. Nursing is not all about, I mean, you need to know your knowledge, but it's also about, empathy and kindness and being there for your patients. And it's okay to have bumps along the way in your journey. You're going to end up in the same spot as the rest of your peers.
So very well said. Eliana, you are such an inspiration, even just to me sitting here listening to you. I am honored to have been able to spend an hour or so of our time together this morning. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. This is so fun, and I'm
Uh,
glad I went out of my comfort zone and did this.
well, hopefully you're still glad after you hear it, after I make it say different things. I'm just kidding. No, I thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your wonderfully well-earned break.
Thank you.
Here's what's happening on the next episode of Feeding Our Young.
Yes, test scores do not define you as a nurse or a person.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the biggest, hardest thing because I am also a comparer, if that's the word. And
Mm-hmm.
so after my first exam, I was going around and everyone's like, what'd you get? What'd you get? What'd you get? What'd you get? And I learned quickly that that does not make me feel good in any way, shape, or form. And so me and my friends made a group, like a grouped pact to after every test, and instead of asking, what did you get? We would ask, how do you feel? And so that way you could still
Oh.
get your emotions out about the exam or the studying or whatever without saying, "Oh, dude, I got a 70. I'm going to have to retake it," or "I'm going to get a pip," or, something drastic
Mm-hmm.
like that. And we figured that out pretty quickly, thank goodness. And I would say that that made the rest of like the testing and the exams throughout the rest of nursing school so much better. So much better.
Did you like today's episode of Feeding Our Young? Want to know more about the Feeding Our Young movement? Check out our website at feedingouryoung.org. Would you like to be featured on a future episode? Maybe have Eric bring his unique brand of encouragement to your nursing students or nurses? Please text us at 509-666-5636 or email us at info@feedingouryoung.org. We're so excited to have you return to hear our next honored guest. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Feeding Our Young LLC. Again, that's username Feeding Our Young LLC. Until next time, be encouraged and go find someone to encourage today.